All right, and hello everyone. Welcome to B&T Sports Talk Show. I am T, and way over there on the left or right or wherever he is situated is B, and we got somebody special in the middle. If you hadn't noticed, so joining us
What's going on?
is Patrick. What's up, Patrick? How you doing, man?
Doing good, doing good. After today, we're feeling good. Excited to be on the show, talk about what happened.
Absolutely,
Yes,
absolutely.
sir.
And we're happy to have you. And folks, we always love having folks on the show to discuss sports with us. Obviously, I don't know if I really need to say a whole lot other than there was some games today. I'm pretty sure folks saw the game 7 between the Warriors and the Sacramento Kings, and obviously, as B knows and everybody knows, I'm a big Laker fan, so this is setting up to be quite a fun matchup between the Warriors and the Lakers. So I'm really looking forward to talking about that a little bit more. But we're not going to get too far. We got to start with what just happened and the most important game of the day, we'll say. And before I even jump into that, let me remind folks: first time watching this, we appreciate you liking, subscribing, hitting the notification buttons. Give us a like too if you're already a subscriber. It benefits us a lot. So let's get into it. Man,
Let's do it.
hotly contested game for about 3.5 quarters, and then the top blew off. I don't know what happened. I was rooting for a good game, and instead I got this clunker of a game that just I don't know. I wasn't very fulfilled with it. But of course, I'm not a Warriors fan, so I'm I'm gonna turn that over to you guys. In regards to I'm sure of course both of you watched the game, and Patrick, you're also a Warriors fan, just like B. So I mean, I'm gonna start with y'all as fans. I mean, how y'all feeling right now? What did y'all think of the game?
I mean, we always want, like a great game, but on a game like this, a blowout's nice.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, though the score was 120 to 100, and that's nice to see. It was just like how the Lakers won against the Grizzlies. It was a blowout.
yeah,
That's what we want,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So definitely a great win. Um, Nerve wracking in the beginning, but smooth sailing towards the end. So
Yeah, it was. You knew Steph Curry was going to have to carry it, but we just didn't know how long he was going to carry it for. But game seven's a game seven. And what a lot of people don't like hearing, but it's true, is that championship DNA. It shows. Like, that's why you go through these kind of battles here. And credit to Sacramento, who hung around for a while here, but you could tell that pressure was starting to weigh on them as the game carried on, and as the Warriors carried more in the fourth quarter. They ended up extending that lead, and you can see a lot of the tired bodies on the Sacramento side of it, and that pressure buildup on winning a game seven, which they haven't been a part of since what? The last time they were in the playoffs, right? Against the Lakers, if I
Mm-hmm.
remember correctly. So that pressure was there. Obviously, they cracked underneath it. But, man, talk about just a monumental effort from Steph Curry, which just solidifies his legacy beyond the way. So, Taj, as a Laker fan, what you were watching, you know, what did you like about Curry's performance today?
Well, I don't think there's anything I can really say. I mean, it's kind of what you expect from Curry at this point. I mean, he was pretty much their entire offense. He was their loaded gun. So they really needed shots, and the game got really sloppy in the beginning of the third. Sacramento was jacking up shots all over the place and clanking them. And really, it was on Steph Curry to take the little lead that they had and extend it. And that's exactly what he did. So when it was time for him to step up and make shots to push the lead to 12, 13, 14, 15, all the way, he was really the guy that was making those shots. It was a combination of him and the offensive rebounding of Kevon Looney and Fred
Oh
and
God.
friends. Wiggins was in there on a couple too, but yeah, the combination of those two things would help them blow this team out the water. Like you said, Sacramento looked like a team who was not ready for the moment once it got into the later stages of the game. Um, De'Aaron Fox completely disappeared. So yeah, I mean, for me, wasn't surprised by Curry. He had the backpack on. He put all his teammates in the backpack, and he led them to victory. And that's kind of what you ask your superstars to do. So Big ups to Curry. Good win.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, let's get a little comment in the chat here. Josh says beat LA. I can't agree with him anymore. And Rachel says dropping 50 in Game 7 wasn't exciting to watch with a thinking face. That was the most exciting part. I don't know about y'all, but watching Steph Curry trash talk as well, um, telling the Sacramento fans that they weren't ready for this shit, pretending to light the beam on a loose ball as well.
Yeah.
Like, you can't ask for more. Um, you thought that would come from Draymond, but it definitely didn't. Um, let's talk about Klay Thompson a little bit because that man is struggling there. Patrick, um, what do you think could be going on with Klay Thompson? Because this isn't the Klay Thompson none of us are accustomed to right now in the playoffs.
I think with Clay, it's all just a mind game. We all know he can shoot. He's been shooting well the whole season. I think this might be the season that he's shot pretty like a lot better than the past. Um, Even in throughout this last game, Game 7, he was still taking shots even though he knew he was missing. I think that's a really good mindset that he has. Taking those open shots and not giving up. And eventually, things started going in, and just basically staying composed throughout those bad shots.
Dude, what's crazy is that he missed a wide open wing 3-pointer and then
I saw
proceeded to
that.
run down the court and fade into the out of bounds market and hit that, obviously. So I would love to see Klay Thompson get going. Like you said, I think him still shooting, you're always going to get that from him. But there's got to be a little more consistency into the next round here. Here we go. I got one for you, Patrick. If Curry beats LeBron one more time, does he take the crown from LeBron?
That's a good question. I just don't want to eliminate what LeBron has done in his past, but at the same time, you got Curry just consistently doing something great, and I think it's really up in the air. But I'm not a LeBron hater or anything, but I don't know. Well, I don't know.
It's okay to say, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not a big LeBron fan either. I'm a Lakers fan, So for me, it's watching these two guys play. We can talk about Curry up until a point. We do have to remember that LeBron was there before and was playing meaningful games before that time period. He did win championships with the Heat prior to, did play in playoff games in the beginning of his career with the Cavs. This is all prior to the Warriors becoming the team that they are today. So I don't know if it's a question of legacy at this point. I think these are two great players. I think it's just a matter of, who's got the last gasp. And really it's the last gasp more for LeBron than it is Curry. I mean, we have to remember this is LeBron's 20th season in the league. Curry's been in the league for quite some time too, but nowhere near as long and as many miles as LeBron James has played. And so for me, individuals, if we're talking about individual players, I think I always tell B this all the time, when they retire, we can look back and see where they are. But Curry still has more of his book to write than LeBron does.
Absolutely. Here, I couldn't agree more. And then Rachel says, Josh, he will also take his ego too with the smile.
What's he taking now?
I don't think. No, you couldn't see Curry taking that there. There's just that dog in him. That's what we'll take. We won't take LeBron's ego. Brian should get a UCLA shirt for Looney. No, I love Looney to death. And can we talk about Looney for a little bit and just the absolute dirty work that he did in this series to prevent Sabonis from even having anything remotely close to a good game. 3 times in this series did he go over 20 rebounds in a game. And in a game 7, you can't ask for anything better than that. We'll talk about the matchup that he's going to get involved with later on here, but let's just talk about today. On top of that, had 11 points to go with it as well. I'll start with you, Patrick. Are we seeing the best Kevon Looney yet, or is there still more considering he had a hip surgery that kind of grounded him for 2 years?
I think that Kevon Looney is just going to get better. Being around great players like that and always being motivated, I think that he's just going to improve from here. And like this guy, I don't see him complaining at all. This guy goes out there, plays basketball, listens to like the coaches, other players, and like always adjusting to what is in front of him. And that's the kind of player that we need. At least a team needs is someone who just gets it done.
Yep. And then on top of that, supposedly he is also one of the leaders inside of that locker room as well. When the whole Draymond and Jordan Poole thing went down, I guess they were saying Kevon Looney was the biggest voice inside of that locker room there when everything happened. So, I think there's going to be more of Kevon Looney. Again, in a Warriors offense, you're not asking the center to do much. All you're asking him to do is to get rebounds. And that's what Kevon Looney did this entire series. He had double-digit offensive rebounds, double-digit defensive rebounds today. Consistency. I mean, Andrew Bogut didn't even get that. When he was with the Warriors, and Andrew Bogut was a great big man for them too. So this is just a big step up for them as well. But let's get more.
Get caught up.
Josh says Curry was raw. Curry was raw today. I mean, look, a 50 piece from a guy who's 35 years old in a very high paced game. You can't beat that. Your boy JJ says Lakers.
Yes, we will talk about that in a moment.
Not going to drop all that in there. Victoria says LeBron was there when God said, "Let there be light." Just saying.
Yes, LeBron is old. However, the last person to make that apparent didn't do so well.
No. And then Rachel's got a question. Oh, this is for you, Taj. What's the over/under in this series of how many times LeBron James cries?
Yeah, he'll cry just as often as Draymond Green yells.
Well, and that's the other thing too. What if Draymond does the nut stomp on LeBron?
Yeah,
he's already touched LeBron's nuts once, so we're good on that.
Yeah, it's not gonna
happen. But Taj, why don't you take us into our next topic?
Yeah, so obviously this sets up quite the matchup. Well, we watched the Warriors dispatch of the Sacramento Kings, who, for all intents and purposes, was a young team and maybe just didn't have enough championship or playoff experience to get through it. But this is a different matchup altogether. So now the Warriors will match up with the Lakers, who have a few experienced veteran players who have at least been in playoff situations and a couple of them in championship situations. They'll be playing a much more robust group of guys, meaning more guys that can do more with the ball at different positions, and a bench that is light years ahead of what the heck was Sacramento doing with their rotation. And so I think it's going to be a better game. It's going to be a good matchup. I think we talked a little bit earlier about the impact, some of the outside stories about LeBron versus Curry going back to the Cleveland 2016 game in Game 7, the comeback, and all the other games they lost to the KD Warriors after that. Excuse me, I won't say KD Warrior, but the KD version of the Warriors. Excuse me, sorry, folks.
Yes.
And so yeah, I think there's a lot around this game. I think what we'll do, let's start off with the Warriors, and we'll cover a couple of things. And I'll just go through these, and we'll all have a comment on it. We'll start from the Warriors' point of view going into this series. What is the biggest concern for the Warriors? And I'll start with you, Patrick.
Definitely one of the biggest concerns is AD. I don't know how Loon's going to hold up with AD, just because there's some games where AD performs like, he's on top of the world. There's some games like when he's not. So I think those times we just got to take advantage of it, and Loon just got to dominate over AD. But with Braun, that's up to Wiggs and Draymond to lock him up. But it's LeBron, hard to stop that guy. And then for Curry, Clay, those guys just gotta shoot lights out. That's all they gotta do.
Yeah, I agree with the AD and Looney topic there, but I think it's gonna come down to the bench for the Warriors here, because Kerr basically, it was a 6-7 man rotation today, and he's got to have the trust of the young ones, of the guys of a Jonathan Kuminga, who didn't get a lot of playing time. And this was a series that I think that was built for him with the way that it was going up and down. But then he gave up 10 straight points to De'Aaron Fox, never saw the court again right after that, up until the last 3 minutes of the game today. So uh, the Lakers bench can score in bunches too, and they have the right guys that can come off the bench to give them that boost. So the Warriors were unable to match the bench production of Sacramento, and they have to match the Lakers bench production there. With guys like Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, who am I
Vander,
missing?
yeah,
Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
Schroeder.
they've got some scores, and Dennis Schroeder as well. They've got some scores. So I think for the Warriors matching up their bench matching against the Lakers, it's all going to come down to one guy, and that's Jordan Poole. You got to get going, Jordan. You having a water drought instead of a full party right now. So he's definitely got to get that thing going there.
Gotcha. And I would say for as far as concerns go, I think the biggest concern for the Warriors is going to be a couple of things. It's one, it's going to be rebounding. Rebounding is going to be at a premium for the Warriors. They're going to have to make sure that they crash the boards and try to get every single rebound they can get. Because the Lakers have done a fairly good job of, with a combination of LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Rui Hachimura, have been able to eat up the boards and played against a pretty big solid two between JJJ and Xavier Tillman with the Grizzlies, who are both damn near 7-footers. So the Warriors are definitely going to have to get that going. They also, the other thing is, the Lakers do a great. What the Lakers do best is turn those rebounds into quick points on the other end in the fast break. So the Warriors are going to have to get back. So though I think those are two things that they need to be concerned about. Is one, make sure that you're rebounding. Two, you have to make sure that you get back, because the Lakers half court offense it's suspect. I'll be the first to say that, but they can get out and really turn their defense into offense quicker than any other team in the league. And that's just because they have guys that grab rebounds and can get up the court a lot faster than Sabonis.
Sid the Sloth, as my sister would like to call him, Sid the Sloth.
And let's get caught up on the chat before we move into. I want to cover the X factors for the Warriors, dude. So many. Thank you guys for getting involved here. Where do I even start? So we had JJ with Lakers. Victoria chimed in. Well, I think we already covered that. I think we JJ. So
yeah, I think
that's why he's the king. JJ, yes, he is. And then Josh chimes in with laugh out loud to Victoria's comment about LeBron. And we got Josh again. What if Draymond does the non-stop? I think you covered that. No nut stuff, please. No more stomps or elbows, please. Let's try to keep it as clean as possible. Josh again. I'm about to pull out my Beatrice. Are you trying to curse?
Hey.
Are you trying to curse the Warriors? What's wrong with you, Josh?
Yeah.
Put that thing away. You're gonna hurt your team with that jersey. And then we got JJ. Josh, then he'll miss the game or whatever the league decides on. Oh, he's talking about the Draymond comment. And awesome. So let's jump into the X factors. So for the Warriors. So I think B, you kind of brought up someone already with Jordan Poole. So I'm curious if you want to add somebody to it. So I'll start with you, Patrick. Who's the player? Who's the person? Who's the guy that can be a game changer in the series against the Lakers?
Like Brian was talking about, I think JK could be in there, like always driving in, because I feel like with the Warriors, there's not enough guys who really slash to the basket. JK could be that guy providing that extra aggressiveness, because Wiggins does it sometimes. You got GP2 like getting really scrappy along with Moody, but I think JK can provide that spark.
I'm going to go one more, and I think you're going to see Moses Moody a little more in this series as well. I think he's starting to earn the trust of Steve Kerr with his offense. I mean, when you really look at it, he really hasn't missed a shot since he's entered the game, and he's entered the game in some crucial moments for the Warriors here. So I don't think the spotlight is even bright for him, and I think this growth that we've been waiting for is what you're going to be seeing out of Moses Moody going forward here. So I believe that I believe that we are going to see more of a Moses Moody sighting, and I think he'll be kind of a bit of their X factor going forward in this series to kind of match that bench production. Oh my
Absolutely,
God.
yeah.
Come on, Jake.
Ah, I saw that. Yeah, that's right. That's right, JJ. Break out the Steve Blake jersey or Ronnie Turiev. Wow.
Steve Blake.
Which one? The Laker, or the Warrior one? Because they both played for
Oh
both
man,
teams.
I don't know how I feel about those squads, but yeah, we definitely can pull out some crappy players as well from our repertoire of garbage players. We could even pull out Alonzo Ball jersey. That'll make it even worse if we really want to get bad. But so so for
Who's
me,
your
the
X
X factor is
factor?
Klay Thompson. He has to get going. He's a part of the key to their offense and how well it performs. Steph Curry trying to carry the bag works only for so long. I don't see Curry playing 40 something minutes every single game. Obviously, this was a game 7, so he's going to play every minute of the game, but that's not going to be the entire way for a 7-game series. So you got to have the second best player on your team, at least in my opinion, play a lot better than what he's been playing like. Because if he gets going, then that opens up everything else for Steph, for other guys. It spreads the floor in a way that makes the Warriors who they are. So Klay Thompson for me for sure.
All right, cool. So let's get into the Warrior side of predictions because I
Yeah,
not
I'll let that. I'm out.
I'm not gonna
out.
sit there. I'm not gonna sit here and even consider that thought. So Patrick, let's start with you. Where do you think this series goes, and how long does it go?
I think Warriors could take this in 6.
Woo! I like that.
Yeah, I think that. I think even though we went to Game 7 this last series, the Sac versus Dubs, I think Warriors should be learning from this past series and moving forward with a better game plan. I think Steve Kerr will be able to outcoach Darvin Ham just because of the experience Steve Kerr has, compared to when with Mike Brown. Mike Brown knew what to do until the end when he didn't anymore.
Yeah.
So I think Warriors could take it.
So we got the Warriors in 6. Man, I've been thinking about this since the game ended. I'm gonna go on a bold predicament. Warriors in 5. I think they get one in 6.
Ooh.
Look, they get home cooking. They get the first 2 games at the Chase Center. They're just about impossible to beat. They beat the Lakers twice at the Chase Center as well. So, they found a way to win 2 road games, in this series here. And they couldn't even win 2 road games to save their lives in the in the regular season. So I'm gonna take the Warriors in 5. I think they could find a way to get one in LA, and close it out at home in Game 5. So I'll take the Warriors in 5 on that one.
Bold prediction. Bold prediction.
I'm telling you, man, it was.
So
I didn't want to say it in 7 because there's a different LeBron in Game 7 than there is in games 1 through 6. So I've seen that story way too many times.
Yeah.
There is. Well, let's transition into the Lakers. So JJ, if you're paying attention, so the first thing we'll start with is concerns for the Lakers going forward. Ultimately, for me, the concern is always going to be being able to defend on the perimeter. The Lakers have shown themselves to be a pretty sturdy defensive team so far, but it is going to be difficult to keep guys on the perimeter when you're talking about Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. So you're going to have guys. You're going to have some guys out there chasing the entire game. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. So I am definitely seeing that as the main concern. I'm not that concerned about rebounding. I'm not that concerned about the paint. There will be nowhere as many layups against the Lakers as there were against the Sacramento Kings. It's not that kind of ball game. There was a lot of 10 foot to layup shots available for Steph Curry at pretty much any point in time throughout this entire series. The Lakers don't defend in that way. They're a little bit more physical than Sacramento was. Sacramento had one good string of physical ball play defensively, and that was in Game 6. However, they weren't able to replicate that at all this particular game.
Look,
But the Lakers come with a slightly different set of defenders, guys who are taller, who are longer. You're going to be playing against 2 6'5" guards and D'Angelo Russell, who's not really a defender. But you also have Reeves, who can defend and just got done chasing Desmond Bane around for a little while. And then you're going to run that on into a 6'8", or 6'9" LeBron James, a 6'7" Vanderbilt, and a 7 foot a 7 foot Anthony Davis. So you're playing a much larger team. So I think again the concern is going to be these larger players having to chase around some smaller guys. So that's my main concern.
What you got, Patrick? What is your big concern for the Lakers here?
T, you called out a good point. Lakers being very lanky, lengthy, and Warriors is going to have a problem like getting to the basket. But one of the main concerns for the Lakers is, I don't know. I think the Warriors just have more experience. Just together. I mean, you have Braun and AD, and that's about it. Who had more experience compared to the Warriors. So I think it's going to come down to experience being in the playoffs together. I think the Warriors coming off of a championship, should show a lot, even though they were kind of crappy towards the end of the season. But I think once playoff time comes, that's when they showed up. Like, I mean, we could say the same for the Lakers. They showed up against the Grizzlies, and they got it done.
I hate the fact that we weren't rooting for the Lakers, but we were just hoping the Grizzlies would be bounced. Um, I hate the fact that it had to be the Lakers to do it, but it is what it is. You guys touch on it, and Patrick, you touch on it. I think it's going to come down to the coaching. In all honesty, here what's your coach's name? I could care less. T, what's his name?
Darvin Ham.
Darvin Ham. So Ham Hawkins himself, is in uncharted territories, to say the least here. So that experience is going to be something that is going to help the Warriors in that case. But for the Lakers, you could tell some of his coaching calls aren't the greatest. So is LeBron going to take over at that point there, or are they going to trust Ham Hawk to make the right calls here as the series goes forward here? So for me, I think the coaching style is going to be it. But Taj, let me ask you this: what's your biggest matchup for the Lakers here in this matchup?
Well, the biggest matchup is it's going to be Anthony Davis versus the entire Warriors team. I got to be honest with you. I don't necessarily see how the Warriors plan to go in and try to corral Anthony Davis on the offensive and defensive boards. I think that's the main concern, because the bottom line is you just played against one of the most inept centers in the entire game, who's not even a 7-footer, by the way. And I'm just calling it what it is. I mean, the guy was terrible. He couldn't even make a layup. He caught the ball 5 feet from the rim and just threw it off of the side of the backboard. So you going from that to playing against one of the premier bigs in the game, you're not going to be able to give up the same plays you were able to give up in this last game. You're not going to be able to escape with all of the loose ball rebounds that you were able to collect to give you those extra opportunities. The fact that you guys got 10 offensive rebounds from Looney, and a lot of that happened throughout the late third and into the fourth, that along with Curry shooting helped you win the game. Now imagine you take those away. Now imagine that 3 of those shots that Curry takes at the rim gets blocked. It's a completely different ball game. So I think the main matchup is AD versus all y'all. Because no, seriously, there isn't a player on your team that's going to go in there against AD and try to score against him. Most players, we just got them playing against Ja Morant, who loves to jump over. He would jump over his own mama to dunk the ball. Even he got scared at some point and decided, I'm not going in there anymore because I don't want to get blocked or fall on my face. But that's the type of pressure that the paint creates. So for me, the biggest matchup is Anthony Davis versus the rest of the Warriors. If we take the paint away from you guys, what are you going to be able to do? And so that's where I think things are going to get interesting. You talked about a coaching matchup, which I kind of agree with. You're going to have to get creative with how you get easy baskets. So fast break points, things like that. You're going to have to get creative because you're not going to get what we just saw. Steph Curry dribbling for 15 minutes and then all of a sudden, oh, look, there's a layup. It's not going to be like that. So I think the Warriors, and I'm serious, folks, the Warriors really have to tighten it up if they want to win this series. They played a very loose series. They shot a lot of bricks, okay? And they didn't pay the price for it because Sacramento doesn't have the rebounding capacity, nor were they able to they weren't able to knock down any shots. They weren't able to make any free throws in this game. They didn't do anything. Okay, but get their behinds handed to them.
I
That's
can't.
not that's not really going to be the same circumstance whenever you're playing against the Lakers. And I agree. Like I said, I agree. Darvin Ham, we don't know what he's going to do, but at the end of the day, when I take away your layups, when I take away the floaters, when I take away anything 6 feet in, what are you going to do? That's what this comes down to.
We're gonna make it rain.
You're right.
Yeah,
It's gonna be do
I
or
think that's
die, right? I'm telling you what's gonna happen. It's
yeah.
gonna be do or die. And that's what I love about this matchup is from a Lakers perspective. You guys either make the shots or you don't. But what you won't do is you're not gonna beat us on the rebounds and you're not gonna beat us in the paint. Where you're taking a shot that your team, even its best player, is shooting what 42, 43% from three. Now, I want you to think about what's the percentage of layups you think that the Lakers make or jump hooks by Anthony Davis. We're shooting higher percentage shots. So that's what it comes down to. Which one will beat the other? That's what I think this game comes down to.
Yeah.
You definitely make a great point with AD versus the Warriors, because even on the defensive end, Jordan Poole can't make his fat like super fast run to the basket, try to lay it up somehow.
Uh,
AD is gonna be there. AD is always gonna be there, like swatting that thing. So I don't know how that's gonna work out. The Warriors, like what Brian was saying, they gotta just shoot lights out, and make sure that all of those are going in. Because once it comes down to the paint, AD is gonna be holding it down. I feel like if somehow the Warriors find a way to shake up AD every single game and kind of like throw him off course, that'll be definitely a huge impact.
I think. I think I'm going with the obvious. It's going to be LeBron versus Curry, and who can carry their team further.
Not
That's all.
anymore, man. Not anymore.
That's all I'm going with here, and because I'm buying into the hype.
I got
This is a decade long rivalry that they have been a part of here since 2013 or 2014. And so who wants to write their legacy the best here? But it's going to come down to who carries this team more and who's going to want it more, because they've both shown that they can take a team and win a championship. Obviously, with the Warriors last year, they basically rode Steph Curry all the way to that championship here. And it looks like they're about to do the same thing. But you got one guy who's 35. You got another guy who's 38, doing things in the league that those older gentlemen should not be doing. Who's it going to come down to the most between those two? You got a guy who lives in the paint with LeBron James and has an occasional step back three, or you got a guy who lives and dies by that three but can find himself in the hoop here. I agree, T. Anthony Davis is going to take away a lot of those easy layups that the Warriors got there. But at the same time, this game could become very fast where they try to eliminate Anthony Davis from even getting down into the post. The Warriors do have to speed that matchup up and down the court here, especially on a made shot here, because they're not getting back in time. So, but for me, it's got to be the LeBron Curry X factor here for both teams.
Yeah,
here.
and I will say, the Lakers' best games have been when LeBron scores about 20 to 25 points. His best games are not when LeBron is trying to carry the team. Those are the games where we don't win. So I'm actually looking for the opposite. I want LeBron to do what he's been doing, which is be a facilitator first and foremost and look for times to shoot shots, because he doesn't need to carry us. We've kind of shown that time and time again. And, obviously as you get further in the playoffs, you never know how guys are going to play. But, I'm looking for that same intensity from LeBron, which is leading the team as opposed to trying to put everybody on his back. Now, before we move on, let's get caught up here. I feel like we're falling behind. We got Mama Birdie. Hello, boys. I got to sit and watch the game with my son, Brian, who she loves so dearly. It doesn't say that. I just added that. I ask questions, but I really don't get this game.
Depends on.
She said, wait, hold on. Your mom said, I ask questions, but I really don't get this game. However, I will support the Bay Area. Cheers, with a little wine glass.
So check it out. So she was watching the game with me, right? Yeah. But she actually, she's like, why is that a foul? Why is this a foul? And I'm like, I don't know. Mom is the NBA. They can breathe and it's a foul. But then she goes, well, that doesn't look like a foul. And there were foul calls that weren't supposed to be foul calls. So she gives her best watching the game. She's very curious to say the least, but she supports him, so that's all we can ask for here.
Yeah, we got
Warriors in 6
Josh. Warriors in
from
6.
Josh,
Yeah,
and then
go ahead.
the Lakers in 6 as well, by JJ. Mama Birdie says all 7 games will be played, so she's looking for a 7-game series. And then this is a question for you too. Will we see a Mo Bamba sighting?
No.
And not the song. We are going to talk about the actual player.
No, you won't see him Obama signing, and for a couple of reasons. One is he defensively is not the greatest player, even though he's big enough to block shots. He's not going to see the floor. The other reason is other guys are taking up minutes. It's the playoffs. You're not going to get the amount of folks that are going to see the floor is going to shrink. Mo Bamba hasn't played in almost 2 months. I just don't.
Since he fought Austin.
Yeah, I just don't see him coming into the game. This team doesn't have a Jaren Jackson Jr. The Warriors are fairly small as a team overall, so I don't think there's a need to even, throw him on the floor.
Yep.
It's okay. He can cheerlead with Tristan
There you
Thompson.
go. Boom. Right there.
There you go.
Can we talk about that real quick?
What?
Can we talk about why Tristan Thompson was even signed from the get-go to join?
Well, because he called LeBron it.
We're in all my.
I'll tell you why. He called LeBron and said he was late on a few child support payments, and so there you go. When you have great friends, you get great opportunities.
Hey, maybe the Kardashian curse will be
Oh no.
on the Warriors side.
That's right.
Not really.
You've got the Kardashian curse when you've got the next Kardashian.
I don't think so,
side,
man. Devin Booker seems to be okay. Although I don't think they're going to beat the Nuggets. Well, I guess we'll get into that a little later. But
Yeah, we'll get to that.
And then so this one's for JJ. Says AD should average 25 or more. Do you think AD needs to be above that, or can they live with him being a little less than that to beat the Warriors?
I think the Lakers can live with AD not scoring 25 plus, as long as he's defending. Because if he's defending well, I mean, that's already enough to hold the Warriors back from scoring, and him not being able to score more than 25. So, yeah, I think the Lakers could live with that.
What about you?
Scary, right?
Yeah, I mean, the proof's in the pudding. I mean, he's had a couple of games where he's been pretty good defensively, but hasn't necessarily burned up the nets on offense. He's definitely capable. But I think what's going on is with the Lakers in general is over these past couple of months, they've been trying to create their identity, and it seems like they've keyed in on being a defensive team. So I think AD is taking that charge on the defensive end, and he's letting LeBron take the charge on the offensive end. So I think that's kind of how you approach it. So no, they don't need him to score 25 or more. I mean, the guy had plus 20 blocks in the entire series against the Grizzlies. So I mean, if he can just replicate that every block every block for AD is darn near a point taken away from the other team. So because he's doing it right at the rim for the most part. So I think that in itself is enough. I don't think he needs to necessarily go off for 40 points. He can, but if other guys are playing well, then that's not necessarily his main focus.
Got it. And then Josh comes up and goes, "Okay, you two need to bet something, not money, on the winner. Loser has a consequence. You got to do on the air." So,
oh my gosh.
We'll talk about that in a little bit here, and then JJ follows up with our bench is better than yours. Basically, I mean, I can't argue that, but who knows when that bench could turn around? Like I said, Jordan Poole has not been the greatest offensive star yet, so hopefully he turns his stuff around. Otherwise, he'll find himself getting punched one more time
right before Draymond leaves for the last time.
Yeah, and so let's go predictions, Taj.
Oh yeah, so I'm gonna take the Lakers in 6 games. I think the Lakers will win one of the first 2 games. The Warriors are coming off of a very quick turnaround, although they did get some rest, even though Steph Curry inexplicably played most of the fourth quarter, even though they were up by quite a bit. Understandably so, it's a game 7, I get it. But they are going to have a quick turnaround going back home, which isn't too far away, on Tuesday, playing against a Lakers team that has actually been sitting on their butts for the past 3 days. So you won't see a tired legs LeBron James. You'll see a much more motivated LBJ.
It hasn't been 3 days. It's been 2 days.
What do you
They
mean?
played Friday as well.
No, the Lakers. The Lakers play Friday, right? What am I missing something?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
it's only been
Saturday,
2 days.
Sunday, Monday. They play on Tuesday. What the hell are you talking about?
I went to public
Somebody
school
get
pretty
this man a calculator.
Quick math. Quick math.
My bad.
It's all good, man.
Anyway,
Oh, boy.
so we'll talk about a little bet between Taj and I later on. But let's go around and let's talk about the game that took place today. The Heat and the Knicks. And for those who don't know, the Heat and the Knicks in the early 90s to mid 90s was one of the most
physical,
ferocious playoff series people can ask for. We're talking dudes getting punched. There were fights left and right. Jeff Van Gundy was holding on to Alonzo Mourning's leg, getting trampled on in these fights here. But the man, the myth, the legend in the second round of playoffs, Jimmy Butler, for some reason, willed this team to another victory here. Steal game 1 on the road in New York and take over home court advantage. So, Patrick, we'll start with you. Heat or Knicks? Who you got?
I know I said that the Knicks were going to take this, but I totally forgot Julius Randle was out because he's also a huge factor. So if I remember that he was out, I would have taken the Heat. But you got to also think about like the Heat not having Tyler Hero, who else didn't have, and Duncan Robinson's not even shooting well. So but the Heat got a lot of guys that can shoot. Like you have Gabe Vincent, you have Kevin Love who can produce off the bench. Yeah, so I think I'm switching to Heat right now until Julius Randle comes back.
How many games for the Heat?
The Heat, I think they could do it in 6. Heat in 6. With the Knicks team that has Jalen Brunson, that he is their answer. Julius I'm forgetting his name.
JJ, who?
What did I just say?
Who are you talking? I mean, not J. What's his name?
No, not Redick.
Or what's his name? I can't even think of the names anymore. Who are we talking about?
Jalen Brunson.
Jalen Brunson. Yeah, you got it right. Yeah, Jalen Brunson all day.
Yeah, I just say Jalen Brunson is their answer. So I think that Jalen Brunson is going to bring home some wins.
Yeah,
but he's going to take it 6.
What you got, T?
I'm gonna go. The Heat in 7. I think that Julius hopefully at some point comes back during the series. I think the Knicks will bounce back from this first loss and get out there and get it done. I mean, they had some pretty close matchups with the Cavs early on in the series as well. So I think they bounce back. I think they get Randall back, but I still think the Heat find a way to prevail because I can't bet against them, man. Every time they're in the playoffs, they make it at least to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I don't know if folks remember, but they played the Boston Celtics last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. So this is a team that you cannot toy with. So I still got the Heat taking it.
I'm going to go with the Heat as well. I will take them in 6 games. I think the one guy who's not talked about yet but should be mentioned is Bam Adebayo. Yeah. I really don't see anyone on the Knicks being able to stay with him, to say the least. So when that pressure comes to Jimmy Butler, you'll see a little bit of Kyle Lowry. But honestly, Bam Adebayo's got to kind of establish the paint in this series here. So I'll also take the Heat. You can't, for some reason, you can't bet against them, man. Like, there's just something about this team where you're like, what are you guys doing here?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're like that person that gets invited to the party that's not supposed to be at the party, and it ends up being the best person there.
Yeah, it's like Family. What was it? Family Matters, where Steve Urkel turned into Stefan Urkel. That's Jimmy Butler. I mean, Jimmy Butler spends the entire regular season being injured or only playing 30 or 50 games or whatever, and then he goes into some weird machine and he comes out as Stefan Urkel and becomes the most dominant player in the entire playoffs. It's very weird.
It's awkward, man. So before we get to the Nuggets and Suns, JJ says B excelled in other areas, not math. All love B. You 100% right. That's why they invented calculators, sir. Unfortunately, I did not have one available during this previous conversation.
Oh man.
But let's get into the other Western Conference semifinals. Has already a game in the Nuggets and the Suns, and the Nuggets clearly showed why they were the number 1 seed. So, Patrick, we'll hit you with it first. What are you looking for in this, and then what's your prediction with the Nuggets and Suns?
Nuggets and Suns. DeAndre Ayton, that guy needs to stop ball watching, and he needs to be more aggressive, or else who's going to contain Jokic? Jokic is going to do his thing, the Joker. He's going to keep on getting to the basket. That guy's a huge playmaker, and you got shooters outside. Like you got MPJ who could shoot. Aaron Gordon sometimes can shoot, but so far he's been shooting well. And then you got Jamal Murray who's been playing like pre-injury when before he got injured, and he's back to normal. So they're definitely a dangerous team. With the Suns, you got KD and Book. I feel like that is not enough for them
Yeah.
to make it out of that Nugget series. You need Chris Paul. Chris Paul is all he's going to do is play make, but you need more from the bench as well. It's going to take a whole team effort. You just can't just rely on Devin Booker and KD. So at the end of the
Well,
day, at the end of the series, I think Nuggets going to take this in six.
Nuggets in 6, man. You like that number 6, bro, my brother.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
man.
gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that the Nuggets can sweep the Suns, but I'm gonna give you got KD in that team, so you gotta give them.
Can we talk to the fact that DeAndre Ayton watched a rebound battle happen underneath the hoop and he just stood out of bounds? Did you guys see that video of him?
No.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to with him ball watching. I was like, bro,
The guy.
why?
He's not good, man. Well, I'll chime in. So I got the Nugget. I'll start with my prediction and then why. The Nuggets are going to win in 5 games, and here's why. One, the Suns gave away Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, who were basically their entire bench, and a
Yeah.
starting rotation 3-and-D player. They don't have that depth anymore. And number 2, they have no defense. They have no defense. They don't have a defense, folks. There's no defense. They got KD out there trying to block shots. And Chris Paul is, although younger than LeBron, plays a lot older. And he's just not the same player he used to be. Devin Booker, small guards can win you a game or two, but small guards ain't going to win you a series. Go ask Allen Iverson. He can put up those points maybe a game and win one, but they're not going to be able to consistently get 50. And these guys just haven't played together long enough to create an offensive system that's going to generate points with regularity in the half court. They just don't. So I don't see them throwing this hodgepodge group of guys together up against a team that's been playing together all season and is actually healthy for once, and expect to beat them. I got Mile High all day. They're going to win these first 2 games by a buttload, and then Phoenix will get 1 at home, and then that's it. It's over. The Suns, go back to the drawing board, Suns. Good luck with your salary cap situation. Try to trade Ayton and get something in return for him because he's hot garbage. Hot
Well,
garbage.
they can't trade him because they signed him again.
They can trade him next year.
I mean, they could, but who's gonna want that pile of garbage?
Well, they had a deal on the table.
I'm not talking about his contract either.
Yeah, they had a deal on the table. I believe it was with the Pacers. They were going to trade him for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. That's right. But they decided to sign the guy instead. I mean, I don't know what the Suns are doing, but I just think Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson brought so much defense and 3-point shooting to them that it made so much more sense for their team. But they thought they thought KD would average 50, I guess, and just carry them to the promised land. KD can't carry teams.
Not enough.
He can't carry teams anymore. We saw it in Brooklyn. It's not going to work. So, I mean, the guys that carried the team, ever. I mean, since his Thunder days. And even then, he had Russell Westbrook next to him. So, that series is over, man.
I agree with you guys 100%. I will take the Nuggets, and it will be 5. I think they do steal one on the road, but you guys have touched on it, and it's clear there's no bench production that's going to come from the Suns in this series here. The Nuggets bench is actually a really good bench that can carry the load for them here. And I think when it comes to the playoffs, as much as you want to ride your horses, you got to get them some rest. And that bench unit can hold a lead and extend it for them in a matter of moments here. And it's been shown in these playoffs here. So I'm not going to harp on that too much. We all know the Suns are going to rely on 2 guys to average 80 points between the 2, just in order for them to get to stay in the game. So, but that's going to tire them out. Other than that, I'm going Nuggets in Nuggets 5 here. So, but let's talk about a monumental matchup coming up here. That is the Celtics and the 76ers.
Ooh,
That is
yep.
going to be a very, very good battle. I think it levels up with just as much as the Lakers and the Warriors here. So let's start with you, Patrick. Same as with the other two matchups. What do you like in these matchups? And then who do you have winning this series?
With right now, with Embiid being injured, I heard his injuries might be a lot worse than they uh they were expecting. I think the Celtics could take it without him. If Embiid stays injured, Celtics are gonna take this in possibly a sweep. But I
Oh,
mean, but to be safe, because I don't think James Harden could just do it all by himself. I mean, Tobias Harris needs to be on fire, but that's not going to be enough. But with Celtics, you got Jalen Brown, Marcus Smart, who's always scrappy, Al Horford, who's always like somehow showing up in the playoffs, except for
yeah.
last year. But I mean, just to be safe, I'm gonna give Philly one win. Celtics in five, definitely.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. T, who you got? Yeah, it's you.
Hello, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Did you just mute yourself,
Yeah,
man?
well, it was an accident. I had to drink some water, and then sometimes when I don't want to hear people hearing me guzzling water, gulp gulp. so I'm mute. So my mistake, gentlemen. Apologize to the fans out there. Getting back to the, so I got the, I got the yeah, I got the excuse me, I got the 76ers winning the series in 7 games actually. So this is a 7 game series. I do think the combination of between Harden, you got Maxi, you've got Tobias Harris, who has been playing better, especially in the previous series. These guys can ball, and I think they have enough scorers and play enough defense to make this a really close, hotly contested matchup. I don't see a situation where the Celtics are head and shoulders above. I think there's always the chance of a Tatum or Brown going off for 30 or 40 or something like that, but I don't know. I don't know if Embiid is healthy. Of course, I don't know if that's going to offset Embiid being able to do the same or Harden being able to do the same. So I think this is really going to be a really tight series, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think the 76ers get over this hump. I believe Embiid has been the MVP all year of the NBA, and I hope he does get this award coming up, I think, Tuesday. But I like the 76ers in 7. They're going to get over this hump finally. I think what Boston showed in Atlanta was inconsistency because they had a much more polished team than Atlanta did, and Atlanta almost took it to 7 with them.
Yeah.
They should have never been around for that long, but Boston allowed them and almost found themselves in a game
Yeah.
7. But I think the 76ers are going to get there. They'll finally get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Do I think they win it? No, I don't think so. But I think this would be a big hurdle for Joel Embiid and for James Harden to take this team to a new level here. So I'll take the 76ers in 7.
Yeah, I hope you guys are right because I think that'd be a very fun series to go back and forth.
Yeah.
Take it all the way to 7, and I do hope that Embiid is healthy enough because I mean you don't want to risk. I think he has an LCL sprain, from what I read.
I believe so. Yeah.
I hope that's not too serious because it would be a fun series to watch. Both of
And
them going
here's
head to head.
and here we thought that Embiid was just not playing because he tried to put his foot up home, but extremely far. So, I mean, I guess that injury is a lot more serious than we had anticipated here. So, I think he's got it. He'll be the biggest thing in that series there for both teams. So, I hope we can get a 7-game series here.
Let's do it.
But I gotta bring one thing up, and we haven't had a chance to talk about it. Now, obviously, Memphis got bounced. You had dumbass Dylan Brooks making comments about, I don't respect anyone till they drop.
Well, we gave him 40.
And LeBron.
Oh, we gave him 40.
LeBron decides to drop 40 in an elimination.
Well, no, he didn't drop 40. They lost by 40.
You can tell the talking stopped from Dylan Brooks. Like he looked like a kid who was the bully and then started getting bullied here. So let me get your feelings on that, Patrick. How, as a Warrior fan, as the rivalry we had with Memphis, how nice is it to see Dylan Brooks get his mouth shut?
That's the thing. He can't back it up. So I feel like any other team who's not a Memphis Grizzlies fan, or any other fans that's not a Memphis Grizzlies fan, they're not going to care about Dylan Brooks because this guy does not back it up. Like whenever he talks smack, so he's just like he's whatever. So it's very nice to see that they got bounced and him not even contributing to that team. So I was absolutely rooting for Lakers on this, even though I did want Grizzlies to at least take it to 7. Just make it more fun. If it's not the Dubs, I want the Dubs finishing it as soon as they can. But any other team, I love it when it goes to Game 7.
Absolutely. I thought it was just absolutely perfect. And then he got fined for not talking to the media for 3 days.
He did?
But what are you going to say? What are you going to say? You know what I'm saying? So, in this day and age, basketball players are keeping receipts. 100% they are keeping receipts of what people say. So that leads me to Ja Morant. Earlier in the year, Ja Morant says, "No, I am good in the West. The only team I'm worried about is the Celtics." And now he finds himself at another strip club with at least probably an AR-15 rifle in his hand this time around.
When was this?
No, this is just for the future right now.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
B's breaking news on us? What happened there? What was that?
But look, obviously the Grizzlies talk a lot, so I'll start with you, T. What do they got to do to just shut the hell up?
Well, the missing member of Bone Thugs and Harmony, a.k.a. Dylan Brooks, showed up with his mouth open, but with his shooting hand broke. And that's why he's getting all of the hate mail and all the issues he's having. I know his team tried to back him up after he said LeBron was old by saying, the medium paints him to be this way. But that's all baloney. Anytime you open your mouth, as we all know in the game of basketball, and if you played basketball, played pickup games, the moment you open your mouth, you're going to get a response. And that's what he got. I think it's pathetic that it's pathetic that he specifically went out there and did a lot of talking, had nothing to show game-wise, and then on top of that went crying home like a baby. Didn't even show up to press conferences, didn't want to talk to anybody, started sulking and having his teammates help him out, then goes to punch LeBron in the nuts so he can go home early and, cry himself to sleep. I think let's put it this way. It was bad enough that if the Memphis Grizzlies never make it to the Western Conference Finals, Dylan Brooks will only be remembered for this moment. That's how bad it was. We will always remember him as the guy who opened his mouth and watched his team fall around him. And I don't think and we talked about this a lot, about there not being a leader on that team. Well, there's a great example. If that guy's not the leader, but he's the loudest guy, well, then there you go. And you saw what happened thereafter. They got blistered, 35-9 in the first quarter. In the next game, they got punished so bad that they didn't even want to play anymore. Ja Morant was the only person that decided to play. Everybody else bowed out. And you should see the look on Dylan Brooks' face on the bench. He looks like his mom just beat him and he just walked out of the room from getting his behind whipped, just sulking, and so
I wish he
he
would.
at least Draymond keeps the energy. At least Draymond keeps the energy the same way. I'll give him credit for that. Dylan Brooks came out, barking loud, but then left with his tail tucked between his legs to the point to where he didn't even want to talk to anybody anymore. So I'm glad that they got bounced. I hope it's a lesson for them to realize that being boisterous does not equal confidence. Confidence is going to be how you play your game on a night-to-night basis. We don't need fake gangsters. We don't need guns in order to win basketball games. What we need is intensity and a togetherness that creates some type of camaraderie so that you guys can rely on each other. And that's the problem that they had. I'm sure everybody in that locker room is probably looking at Dylan Brooks going, yeah, man, it's going to be okay. But then when they go home to their wife, they're going, man, that motherfucker's stupid. Why do he even have to say anything? Like, what is up with this dude? Why is he so upset? He can't do nothing. He can't even shoot.
Can we agree that he has got the worst jump shot since Kenyon Martin?
Well, it's bad looking. But
yeah.
But I've seen guys with weird shots make shots. I mean, Reggie Miller spent a career making 3-point shots, and his jumper looked like what? So I don't know if that the issue is he doesn't make them.
Yeah,
I think that's the problem.
I think we're all in agreement. As much as we are different in teams, we all agree that the Grizzlies are just the NBA is a lot better when they're not talking. Christian Feder says Sean Marion had one of the ugliest shots.
He did.
I was just thinking about that.
He did.
I was like, was it Boris Diaw or Sean? I couldn't remember who it was.
Yeah, you know who else? I think I remember Anthony Mason shooting free throws was also quite terrible. And there's a few other guys too from back in the day that just had some weird looking jumpers.
So I follow the Warriors on Instagram. They had a photo of JaMychal Green shooting a three, and I strongly believe there's a reason why he misses it, because a lot of players hold it from the side, right? Yeah. He's holding it from the top.
Yeah.
Like, if you guys seen that? I didn't think it was real until I saw it. I was like, damn, this jump shot ugly as hell.
Hey, did you see that slow-mo video of how Dame Lillard shoots the ball? Yeah. Wasn't that weird as hell? The ball's on his palm, and he's shooting the ball with his literally. The ball goes from here to his fingertips. Generally, you see a guy kind of control the ball and kind of finish through. Dude, the ball's flat on his hand, and he's literally the ball comes off his hand. And almost looks like his fingertips release the ball. It was strange. I've never seen anything like that.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the other team that got eliminated real quick, and it's got a lot of questions regarding Kawhi Leonard.
Oh God.
In regards to the
Clippers go to clip.
So, obviously, a lot of questions surrounding Kawhi Leonard on why he wasn't involved after load management all year. But Patrick, is this a Clipper team that just blew up and can't recover from the amount of draft picks they give up to bring guys in, or can they find a way to make this work with Ty Lue at the helm?
I think the only way this could work is if they stay healthy. Because, I mean, even if you get rid of Kawhi and for some other players, PG can't hold that team down. PG also gets hurt.
Yeah.
So I think it just comes down to, not being injury prone. I mean, the good thing is you have Russ who's got that dog in him, This guy is always aggressive, like he brings that energy to that team, which is really good because you got PG and Kawhi who's kind of like quiet and just there playing ball. So Russ is a huge part of that team, in my opinion. Like that was a good pickup, but it definitely just comes down to like not being injured.
Yeah, I think Russ resurrected himself a little bit with joining the Clippers there. You saw the old school Russell Westbrook get into the hoop. I hate the fact that he settles for jump shots instead of getting to the bucket. But you saw the glimpse of old Russell Westbrook in his Oklahoma City days. And I think just because they ran an offense that kind of catered to him in that, because he had his time with the Lakers here. So, Taj, I'm gonna have you close us out and just give us an epic Clipper rant. Because I know how much you.
Well, the Clippers are the stepsisters of Los Angeles. They always have been. They live in the basement of Crypto Arena. somewhere down in the basement somewhere. I don't know. I'm glad they're opening a new stadium, but good luck putting butts in the seat because by the time it's built, Kawhi Leonard will have no knees, and so it won't really matter. Even their owner annoys me, sitting on the sideline on there cowing like some giant moose. Every time they make a layup, every time they make a layup, the guy's screaming like they just won the championship. The Clippers annoy me to no end. What I have to say about the situation with Kawhi Leonard is, this is what they signed up for. He was not going to sign with a team unless he was going to be able to have 50 or play 50 games a season, right? Have his own health team, his own workout folks, the team. I don't know if you guys remember, but this is why he left the Spurs, right? Is because he wouldn't report what was going on with him to team doctors. There was a lot of misinformation about what was going on with him. And finally, Popovich said, look, you're either going to get on board or we got to do something else. And they did something else. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with the Spurs. Same thing with the Clippers. We're finding out after the fact that he had some meniscus tear or whatever. Again, because the information is not transparent. And when you're in a situation like that, the team around you is really looking for leadership. And they're not getting that from a player who doesn't even practice with them. And who barely is showing up for practices and games. And by giving him that superstar privilege, it's great that he can come in and produce because when he's healthy, he's 100%. He's the man. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about winning championships for a cursed Clipper team, no, you're going to have to be the best thing that ever happened to the Clippers. And right now he's not. He's only playing 50 games a season. He does and then for him to not play and then come into the playoffs to get hurt anyway. This is the second time this has happened, by the way. It happened last year too. At some point it's over. They got one more season to figure it out, and to see if they can be healthy. But in my book, them signing those two players was an absolute failure. I could have told them that because they're the Clippers. I mean, come on, people. They're the Clippers. The Clippers don't ever win anything. They've never won anything, and that's just who they are. So, good luck to them. I hope they get the Kawhi Leonard upload 2.5 so that his knees work next year. And, but in my book, there'll always be second fiddle, and they'll never win anything, and it was a waste of time. So, have fun with that ball.
And then, I know we were about to leave, but one quick thing. Giannis handled a very, I think, stupid question from a reporter asking if, this season was a failure for the Milwaukee Bucks, who were the best team in basketball here, but obviously got bounced by the Miami Heat. He was hurt. And he told him, Michael Jordan won 6 championships. Are you mean to tell me that the other 9 years Michael Jordan played where they were a failure? With the way the media goes, Patrick, what were your thoughts on Giannis's comments and how he handled that situation?
Just from hearing that and seeing that video of what happened, I think all I can do is respect it. From a professional athlete like him, he handled it very well. And he even said when he was giving out examples, he was like, actually, I'm going to say, I don't want to take it personal. Like, being able to think about what he was going to say and being real with it is I just gained a lot more respect for Giannis at that point.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on it, T?
I think Giannis is a stand-up dude, man. He's dealt with this a couple of times. Before it was the Malika Andrews article that was written about them when they got bounced out a few years ago. He's had to deal with this. We're talking about a guy who family really didn't have anything, who came from a completely different country, who was stacked against some odds that most of us probably couldn't even imagine. So I think Giannis has always been a stand-up dude. So I think it's the media's job to try to get snippets and things that they can put on TV. And so I think he just did a really good job of taking that question, really taking it to heart and thinking it through. Most times you don't get a very thoughtful answer from athletes whenever questions are asked. They generally will either rub it off or maybe they'll be like Dylan and just not show up at all. But I've always had respect for Giannis because of kind of his backstory and how he got to the league. And I have even more respect for him as kind of one of the young next up guys in the league. So yeah, kudos to him, man. It was a tough season for him. He had every right to be pissed, and he could have just, if it was me, I'm not gonna lie to you. After losing like that, yeah, I would have been mad. Somebody asked me, "Is it a failure?" I probably would have been like, "Yeah, where's my water bottle?" and got up and took a sip and walked away, or said, "Next question," or called them a failure. I don't know. I might have done all three. So yeah, kudos to him for keeping his cool.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
just wanted to add on to what you're saying, him being a stand-up guy. That guy's a great role model. Like, he just shows like it's a good, role model for the kids, because this guy grew up with no money, and now that he has money, he has not changed.
No.
He's sticking to his roots. Like, if you guys have seen his movie, like the movie made about
Oh
him,
yeah, yeah.
I highly suggest, like, you listeners, like, watch it. It's cool to know about the story of Giannis and his upbringing. So
Yeah.
definitely suggest that. I think it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, it is.
So
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. I mean, I wish Giannis was in a Warrior uniform. Don't get me wrong, but I
Don't
mean,
start that rumor mill.
he's
oh
he,
yeah, let's see
No, no,
it.
no, no.
he is.
Giannis for pool.
Yeah.
Giannis
Swap
for pool.
contracts. I'll take that all day. But you got to respect the man, because he stopped himself from really lashing out at a reporter. You know, the message that was driven was perfect. You can't ask for a better message from a player. And the league would love something like that. The league has their guys who will be unfiltered, but he drove a point to a reporter where I bet you the guy apologized after. So I love watching Giannis play, but what he's doing off the court as well, especially for the city of Milwaukee. It's been awesome to see. So he's going to be a name for years to come, but just the way he handled himself during that entire process was perfect.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely. All
all
right.
right.
Well, I think that does it for us. Just want to thank Patrick for joining us this evening.
Yeah, Patrick.
Thank
Yes, sir. Yeah.
everybody in the chat, from Christian to Josh to JJ to Mama Birdie to Rachel, to Etta. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. Correct me if I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
you did.
Awesome.
You did.
Thank you guys. Hopefully, Victoria. Hopefully, I didn't miss anybody. If I did, we appreciate you. Remember to like, subscribe, hit that like button for us. If you're subscribed, you really like the video, we appreciate it. Looking forward to the upcoming week. Lots of happenings. Tuesday will mark the first
Woo!
game between the Lakers and the
Absolutely.
Warriors in Chase Center. Better believe we will be watching, and it
Yes,
is
sir.
going to be a barn burner. So, folks, until next time, well, peace. Sorry.
See ya.
Let's make it easy.